Hey, this is a video on large group games and strategies for effective and safe learning. I am Megan McCraney. I just wrapped up my 12th year teaching at a 3rd through 5th grade elementary school in Middle Georgia. Prior to that, I taught at a middle school in Middle Georgia. My first year teaching was actually at an alternative school, and then I got my master's, got my specialist, and I'm working on my doctorate now in curriculum and instruction. Benefits of large group games. It promotes teamwork and collaboration. You increase student engagement and participation. You help develop social skills and sportsmanship and provide a comprehensive physical workout with some large group games. For me, my first year at this current school, we were pre-K through 5th grade. So when I would get a class in the gym, it would end up being around 100 students, and I had 2 parapros. When we split in 2020 to a primary and elementary school, to 2 schools, I have now 3rd through 5th, and I'm seeing 60 at the most in each group. So I have the opportunity to work in smaller groups with more space, but there are times where I still utilize those large group games. When you're contemplating whether or not you should use large group games or break them down into smaller groups, you have to think about safety first. Ensure that all the activities are safe and students understand the rules. You want to be inclusive and design games that allow all students to participate. So that could be students with a physical disability or cognitive disabilities. Everybody needs the opportunity and the accessibility to be able to participate and be successful. Organization, you have to have a clear plan and structure for each game, and then supervise adequately and support as needed. For me, with 120 kids and 3 adults, it didn't matter what we did, supervision was gonna be difficult. If we took them outside, it was way more difficult because there were more places to run. Inside, they're contained, but you just have to weigh all of your options, think about your area, your space, your numbers, the time limit, all of those things go into the decision to play large group games. Some different game examples. I have 5 for you. One that we really enjoy at Bon Air is Capture the Flag. So our students are working on teamwork and safety. We divide the area up into 2 halves, and each team has a flag to protect. The rules: try to capture the other team's flag, bring it back to your side. If you're tagged, you have to go to a designated area. I like to put a hula hoop along the side of our gym, and so the students know that they stand there and they're replaced when another student has to come into the hula hoop. For safety and sportsmanship, I emphasize no physical contact and encourage cheering on the teammates for respectful behavior. A couple of other ways games like this, you have Foam Ball Frenzy at openphysed.org. You can create an account for that free. It is very useful, very beneficial. So head on over to openphysed.org, free resource, and there's a game called Foam Ball Frenzy. Or you can Google, YouTube, whatever, Hula Hut Throwdown. Ben Landers is the PE specialist, and he has some YouTube videos. It's similar, but that is another large group game that our students love. There's tactics involved, strategy involved, so it's not just run and play. You can actually think and teach some different concepts through that. Another, soccer. We develop coordination and teamwork skills. You just set up two goals on the end of each field, divide the students into 2 teams. Your rules are standard soccer rules with some modifications for safety, and then rotate positions to give all students a chance to play different roles. Safety and sportsmanship, emphasize fair play and following the rules, and encourage positive communication and support. I typically don't have a 11v11 soccer games going on, but I would have multiple 5v5 or multiple 6v6 games, so that you're still getting all of the movement on a smaller field, more touches for each kid to have on the ball. And so it is a large group game. Everybody's doing the same game, but I try to, when it comes to particularly soccer, stay away from having 15 people on one team because, as we all know, there's only going to be 2 or 3 that really touch the ball, and then the rest are still just standing. So if I can divide it up into smaller fields and more fields, it's better. Ultimate Frisbee. So, Ultimate Frisbee, you can improve your cardiovascular endurance, hand-eye coordination. You set up one field with 2 end zones on each side of your field, like a football field. Divide the students into 2 teams. The rules, the players pass the Frisbee to the teammate and advance towards the end zone. If you have the Frisbee in your hand, you cannot move your feet, and you've got to pass it within 10 seconds. For safety and sportsmanship, we teach proper frisbee throwing ahead of time and then encourage teammates and respecting opponents. Now for this, I have frisbees that are foam and you can't get hurt if you don't know how to catch a frisbee or something like that. These frisbees won't hurt you. But what I have done is a lead up game using a foam ball, and it's sort of a mixture of team ball and ultimate frisbee. We just call it ultimate, and I use a ball. Gator skin ball is fine. I have playground balls that happen to be much smaller than playground size or kickball size that the kids can catch and throw easily. This teaches the tactics or some of the skills that we need, and then once they are comfortable with the frisbee, we bring that in, and it just changes up the game slightly. But to teach it beforehand, use a ball. The kids love this because it involves a lot of, you can juke people, you can outrun somebody and catch a ball that they can't catch. Kids call that head top. And so a lot of things that they do enjoy can happen with this game as well. Sharks and minnows. This is enhancing our agility and speed. You got a safe zone. And then the minnows try to run back from one end to the other without being tagged by the sharks. Tag students become sharks in the next round. So we talk about gentle tagging. I take a pool noodle and cut it in half, and so one of those would be what a tagger uses to tag their teammates. We don't tag in the head, we tag on the back or arms or legs. And then encouraging students to help each other and celebrate all efforts. This is a really good game that we start our day with, an instant activity, but sometimes the kids really just need some extra practice and some extra time running, playing this particular game or any tag game. There are days when you can just tell that the energy in the gym, they've sat too long. They've done all of the thinking they want to do. They're just ready to run, and this is a good game for that. It gives them something to do without just being chaotic. So we really like sharks and minnows. To organize large group games, you got to think about ahead of time the rules and objectives and how you're going to explain that to everyone to understand. So it helps me to think about what are the rules to this game, write it down, and then look at it later with a fresh set of eyes, or ask someone else, my para, somebody, to look at it without the prior knowledge. I don't need to read what I have thought about it. I need to read what I have written down so that when I'm explaining it to others, they are understanding clearly what I'm trying to get at. And then just demonstrate any specific skill or action required. So for a frisbee, I'm going to want to demonstrate that. If I have students who are into disc golf and I already know that, then I may have them, somebody who I know is proficient, demonstrate for everyone. When I divide up students, for me in the gym, I have them sit in a very specific way. I take the class roster. I pretty much know the kids, especially in 4th and 5th grade, so I put them in indoor spots based on who I know them to be interested in PE or not really a fan. So for that aspect, it's their willingness to participate, their cognitive abilities. Are they going to understand? Are they going to have a concept of this already? Like, have they played a soccer game before? So I just kind of look at each kid and try to stack the teams in ways that are as evenly as I can. So for me, I just say row A is a team, or row A and B, your teams. But using colored pennies or jerseys, that's helpful. And then rotate groups to ensure variety and inclusivity. During the game, use physical and verbal cues to maintain order. So if I blow the whistle, everybody knows at any time. That's stop, drop, and listen. Stop what you're doing. Have a seat. If you're holding any equipment, that goes on the ground, and listen. Monitor for safety and intervene when necessary. Don't just watch something happen or say to yourself or to your co-teacher, hey, look at this. This is about to get into something. No, prevent it before it can get there. And then post-game reflection, discuss what went well, what can we improve. So control the controllables. If there's a rule that I need to change, then I'm going to do it for the next class. And then highlight examples of good sportsmanship. That goes a long way with reinforcing the behaviors that we actually want to see. When we're playing big group games, I use checklists a lot to track participation, effort, or skill development. So what I'll do is have this homeroom teacher's name and all their kids, and then I usually have 2 homerooms at a time, sometimes maybe a half class more, but having all the team, the homeroom name with all the students, next homeroom name, all the students, and then the rubric beside it. Like if I'm looking for a correct throw in Frisbee, then I'll have each cue and I can check off, did I see this child demonstrate the throw? And what cues are they doing properly? What cues do I need to change? So just having that checklist makes it so much easier versus writing everything down from scratch. And then I like to note instances of teamwork, sportsmanship, adherence to rules. If there's something special that I'm not particularly looking for, like I may be looking at, like I said, a throw, but I see really good sportsmanship or really good defense, I might jot that down out to the child's name that demonstrated that behavior, so later I can have them demonstrate or just call them out right then and say, hey, I really noticed this and I appreciate it. You can have self and peer assessments, have students reflect their own performance or the performance of their peers, their teammates, and just use simple forms and gather to discuss anything that you need to discuss. For performance metrics, I track progress in specific skills, like at the beginning of the year, kind of like a pre-test, like where are we at, what can we do, and then we play the same games towards the end of the year, and I can track that progress. Record times or scores for any games that have measurable outcomes. One of the best things I did was kind of creating based off the sport ed model, a way to do this on a one-pager, and that has been a game changer for my students. For assessment tools, we got the participation checklist, and again at openphysed.org, a ton of examples of this. You've got your skill development rubric. Again, there are some there at openphysed.org. Sportsmanship scorecard, you're going to rate behaviors like encouraging others, following the rules, and handling wins and losses gracefully. We struggle with that. And finally, reflective journals. Your students write brief reflections on their experiences and learnings from their game, but that writing, it helps in so many aspects, not just in PE, helps make things concrete and ties in a little bit of ELA and writing. To encourage safety and good sportsmanship, we follow our safety protocols, review them regularly, and reinforce all the safety rules. I think specifically for us, it is getting the kids to listen to the rules first. And we talk about, okay, if you can't hear me and you're not talking, but somebody beside you's talking, so you're not going to get all the rules. We go to play the game and you're playing wrong. That's not going to be fair. Or you think you're playing right and you see everyone else playing wrong, then you're telling them they're cheating. It makes it very confusing. So it could be a safety hazard for people to not all know the rules. So I have to talk about that and break that down for them. Provide proper equipment, ensure that it's used correctly, model and reinforce positive behaviors, recognize and reward acts of good sportsmanship. I love to see good sportsmanship. I tell them we win with a good attitude, we lose with a good attitude, and we talk about a good sport code. That's how we act, that's how we live, that's how we want to be. So we're fostering a supportive and inclusive environment. Any challenges, like managing a large group, there are going to be some challenges with that. So I have a parapro and student leaders to help manage groups. Like I said earlier, sport ed model, what I do is, I take each team is broken down and the leader of that team doesn't change. So for whatever unit we're doing, if I choose the teams and the leader is the coach. That coach comes to meet with me every class right when they get in. Everybody else starts their warm-up, and that coach meets with me. So that's a really good time to handle those conversations. I break down activities into smaller stations or subgroups when I can. So like the soccer game. Everybody's playing soccer, but on a smaller level. Engaging all students, adapt activities to include varying levels. We might have one field where people have all played soccer before, so y'all come over here, and people who are just kicking a ball for the very first time will not be on that field. Provide roles or tasks for students who may be less physically active. In that one pager that I was talking about with the sport ed model, those might be students who have a cast on, and they are in charge of the sportsmanship rubric or keeping score. There's a task for everyone. Maintain a focus. I keep my instructions clear and concise. I try to have 3 and sometimes more, but try to keep it simple. And then I use the signal of blowing my whistle to regain attention. On the left, this is an example of us playing flag football. That day was our championship day, and a torrential downpour came in. So this was a 4th grade group playing flag football on the left-hand side. At the top, you see them playing hula hut throwdown. So we see some hula huts. We see the 2 basketball goals. This is a younger group. This is a 3rd grade, their first time playing. So those goals were closer to the black line where we play. And then in the bottom, we see them playing foam ball frenzy. So they have their flag football belts on, but they're playing a tag game. They collect foam balls and they try to get it from the other side. And so a lot of fun. I am Megan McCraney. This is my email. If you have any questions, let me know.